Hello everybody, my name is Jedi. Let me first apologize to you because this video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. By no means do I consider myself to be a YouTube personality or a celebrity. Some of you guys have said that about me and I surely appreciate that, I really do. You know, this morning we overslept and my 11-year-old son needed me to take him to school, and I took him. And on his school, he has this like intercom there and a little button and camera, similar to the one you see here on the phone. And well, I push that and I wait for the door to unlock, and just mere seconds it unlocked. I mean, I can't say that they saw me on the camera or they even looked, and I can't say that they didn't. I know the intercom didn't sound asking me what my business was. When I got inside the school, there was a lot going on. You know, one girl at the desk, one teacher needing this, 2 or 3 children needing to be signed in to include my child. And she was just running like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to get from one end to the other. And it just gets hectic. So we go on our normal Friday thing. We go to our doctor's appointments and stuff. That my wife has maintenance stuff with the doctor. And I pick up Time magazine, and this was August 6th of 2012, and this is How Guns Won. And I sat there and I read this, just about a good half of this article, and it talks about gun control and how the average American citizen is starting to wane away from the need for gun control, and for one very important reason. Guys, as former law enforcement, I will tell you that a criminal does not go into a gun store to purchase a gun. They buy them on the street. Sometimes they'll pay $13 for a 9mm or a .357 Magnum, and 9 times out of 10 there's a couple of bodies on that gun. No serial number, no way it can be traced, and there's people who make thousands upon thousands of dollars a month providing this service. Sometimes they pay for it with a bag of marijuana. Sometimes they pay for it with a rock of cocaine or a brick of hash or sexual favors. It would blow your mind how they get these guns. So no criminal is going to go into a gun store and pay $400 or $500 for a pistol, or for God's sake, $1,200 for an AR-15 and God knows how many thousands of dollars for hundreds of rounds of ammunition, just so they can go and do this crime. Or just because they're an avid hunter and they screwed up and they've got a bad record and can't have a gun, they're not going to do that. They're not going to risk time in jail for that. They've been to jail and they're not going back, which is 90% of the reason for suicide by a police officer. When we got home, we heard the news that in Newtown, Connecticut, at Sandy Hook Elementary School, 20 children lost their lives. Children, y'all. Very young children, from ages 5 up to 11 years old. My son is 11 years old. You know, as parents, we watch our children brought into this world, and I can tell you from personal experience that it's like watching your heart beat outside your chest. There's nothing that you wouldn't do for these kids. And for 8 hours a day, my son is at that school, and I have no control over his safety. I pride myself on protecting my children and my family and those that I love. And I will tell you, no one's going to do harm to my child, but for 8 hours a day, I have to let him go to this school, and I have to trust that they're going to take care of him. Before I go further, I want to say, God bless you, parents. God bless you, husbands and wives of the adults that were killed. My heart goes out to you, and my prayers. And I pray that the Lord send the Comforter to you, our Lord Jesus Christ, to protect you and guide you through this hard time. I can't imagine what it would be like to have to be one of these parents that would have to call this school to find out if my child was dead or hurt. You know, they're on the news now talking about how the officials are saying, don't come to the school, wait till we call you. I'll be damned. A lot of people say gun control is the only answer. I say no. I do say that ammunition should be limited and it should be registered by the gun store owner as to how much ammunition is being purchased. And no real steel gunner. I mean, I myself have been known to buy a few boxes of 9mm shells to go to the range. No one other than law enforcement range officers should be able to buy hundreds or thousands of rounds. You don't need that much. Nobody does. And it's just ridiculous. Nobody needs to buy a 100-round box magazine or drum magazine similar to the one that was used at the Batman movie in theater. Why would you need that? Just because you can have the right to say you own one? Well, big deal. I mean, that's what we have Airsoft for, in my opinion. So, no average citizen needs that much. We have armed federal officers in courthouses all over this country. Unemployment offices, departments of motor vehicles. You have armed security in some malls. Some mall officers aren't armed, but need to be. It's time that we stand up as citizens, as sheepdogs, and overlook those sheep who can't or won't protect themselves out of some misplaced stigma that a gun kills. A gun doesn't kill. It's the idiot behind the trigger that kills. I believe that when you buy a gun and you're a responsible armed citizen, that you should not in any shape, form, or fashion be opposed to a psychiatric exam to get your concealed carry weapons permit. You'll find a lot of real steel gunners out there, and I'm sure there'll be some comments on this video. Jedi, why should I have to undergo that? You said yourself it's my constitutional right. Well, it's up to my son's protection, my family's protection, that you not be allowed to carry a gun until some psychiatrist tells you that you got enough wits about you that you're not just going to go all crackers on everybody and start shooting up a school or a government building or a shopping mall. Why should I trust you? Trust is something that's earned, not given freely. So yeah, I believe that gun store owners should keep an accurate record of what they sell, how much they sold it for, and especially ammunition. Because, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out when some goofball's in there buying an AR-15 and he wants a drum magazine, and when you tell him he's got to go through this paperwork or that paperwork for the silencer or the magazine, and then he starts getting all, you can tell he's a freaking nut job. You don't have to be a doctor to figure that out. And that's when that gun store owner should say, hey, look, man, I can't help you. Get an accurate description of this individual, and if you have his driver's license in hand, photocopy it. And then call law enforcement and have them go check this fool out. And we can stop them before it happens. We need to have armed federal officers through the Department of Homeland Security in every school. Someone who can go like to my child's school and man that buzzer and that door. Someone who is not bothered with the signing in or the signing out of children or routing them from classroom to classroom or taking lunch money or book money or what have you, whatever it is that these folks do. They're overworked and underpaid. They need to be at the metal detectors, at the doors. Open the jackets, open the purses, pat them down. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If there's nothing wrong with them and they're not crazy and they're not armed, they shouldn't have a problem with being patted down, now should they? And the one that sits there and says, well, I'm sorry, you'll have to leave. It's that simple. Storm the school with an AR-15, you die on the steps. That's the way I see it. And it's time. Y'all, it's time. Gone are the days of the 1980s when I was in school, where two guys didn't get along. They didn't get on YouTube and exchange a bunch of arguments. They met out behind the bleachers on the football field, and it went to fisticuffs. And you got your ass beat if you were wrong. That's the way it ought to be. But those days are gone. Now we live in a world of cowards. We live in a world of people who have lost their ever-loving mind. They've lost their jobs because of the bad economy. The world sucks. My mom and daddy beat me. They locked me up, made me eat Skittles. Someone ran over my dog and didn't pay for it. I lost my car because I had to file bankruptcy. You name it. It's like the Joker said. The only difference between sanity and insanity is one little push. And that's all it takes to put somebody over the edge. Now, that's not saying somebody would go do a psychiatric exam, get their concealed weapons permit, and then go bonkers. That's going to happen. But at least you'll be able to catch a good percentage of them before, and then you marry that with that kind of security at the schools, it'll come to a screeching halt. I guarantee you. And when armed, responsible citizens start standing up and taking our streets back, taking our lives back, taking our freedom back, and stop relying on the police to protect us. Stop relying on the military to protect us. Get some initiative, grow a pair, protect yourself, protect your children. You don't have to do it by being violent. Let's hope it doesn't get to that point. But God knows this government says it's broke and it has no money to pay unemployment, to pay the economy's bad. But yet they'll go pay $2,000 for a hammer or $4,000 for a bag of nails. And don't tell me in the comments section that that's a bunch of hoopla, because it's the truth. Government contractors make a killing off of stuff like that. We've got the resources. We've got the people who are out of work that can be trained, that can be trusted to be sheepdogs and protect our children. Something has to give, y'all. Has to give. These poor little children. You know, my son came home and we sat him down and we talked to him, and he said they have lockdown procedures at his school, and lock the windows, lock the doors, turn off the lights, thank God. And I hate myself because I didn't know this already. So this is a wake-up call for me. I still have my children. 40 people out there have lost their children. Husbands and wives. Mothers and daughters. The adults in the school who have moms and dads. 12 days before Christmas. The insanity has to stop, and only we can do it. So go on to the courthouse steps. Write letters to your state representatives. Tell them, draw a line in the sand. This far, no further. We're not putting up with this crap anymore. This Band-Aid diplomacy has to stop. Fix this problem and fix it right. Stop looking at the bricks in the sand and trying to decide what you're going to build the building out of. Hell, obviously, it's the bricks. So what if the bricks cost more than the sand? We know the bricks is a good fix. And the sand is a Band-Aid. Wake up. By no means do I think that my small voice will reach the ears at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But together, all of us, as one united voice, they had a 1 million man march. We need to have another one. Not just the economy, not just the way things are done in this country, but for the protection of our children and our families. It's insanity, and it has to stop. Today. Not tomorrow, today. Take that first step. Become a sheepdog. Exercise your right to keep and bear arms. And don't be afraid to take a psychological exam to keep them. And don't get pissed because they won't sell you a drum magazine because you saw one on Sons of Guns or American Guns or Guns and Ammo TV, and you just have to have one. Why? No deer hunter needs a silencer. No deer hunter needs a 100-round drum magazine. No average citizen needs that crap. Just because you say you own one. It needs to stop. The gun doesn't kill, y'all. The nut job behind the trigger does. So we need to fix that. How do we know where the bad guns are on the street? Well, you go to the jails and you question them. You throw an inmate an extra pack of cigarettes, he'll drop a dime on his own mother. I know this for a fact. I've seen it firsthand. They'll protect no one if they think they can get something out of it. That's the whole draw to the criminal mind in the first place, something for nothing. Vengeance, hatred, just wanting to watch the world burn. And they don't care who they hurt. They don't care who they hurt. And they don't care if they die. They're that mad. So I'm going to leave you with this one thing. No matter what gods you believe in, I pray that you hit your knees tonight and you pray for these families. You do whatever it is you can do. If it's a quarter, then you send them a quarter. You set up something on Facebook to help these people, and you see to it that they get money that they need to help them while they recover. Because they're not going to be able to work while they're sitting there mourning their children. You help any way you can. You pay it forward. You exercise your right as a responsible American citizen to obtain your concealed carry weapons permit. And you learn from that class. And you do what you need to do to become a sheepdog. Stand up for your fellow man. If we all stand up, the criminal doesn't stand a chance. Write letters. Let your voice be heard. Protect your children. And for God's sake, tonight, when you sit down with your child, tell them that you love them and make sure that they know what to do. And if you have the resources, make sure that child has a cell phone. Because if my child's school allowed him to carry his cell phone, he would carry it with him every day. That one crucial 911 phone call could cost seconds and take a whole bunch of stuff off the table. Maybe half of those people who were killed wouldn't have to die because that phone call was made a second sooner. This is the Jedi 270. Love one another. And Merry Christmas.